What do you get out of a brand new $60 phone running Android 6.0 with a large screen and decent specs? And why should you be interested when you probably already have a better phone? I'm Jason with Maslintech, and this is the BLU R1 HD. First, the price. The $60 price point is only for Amazon Prime members, and with that price, you're getting the model with Amazon ads on the lock screen. The phone unlocked and ad-free can be purchased at a $50 premium over the Amazon subsidized version. There's also a $50 model, but for $10 more you're getting double the RAM and double the storage, which is a no-brainer. Ads on your lock screen may sound terrible, but I found them to be subtle enough to not be a bother. If you have other notifications, then the ad will just show up as its own separate notification. Full screen ads will show if you have no notifications, and those can be a bit more annoying, but people have figured out how to bypass these already. Before we dig into the specs, I'll say I found a lot to like about this phone, both viewed through the lens of a $60 phone, and for any phone in general. The setup in particular was especially easy, taking about 6 minutes from breaking the seal on the box to getting to the home screen of the phone. A connection to Wi-Fi, a Google sign-in, and an Amazon sign-in, and I was set up. Taking a look at the design, the R1 HD has a decently modern look with a 5-inch glass slab up front, a metal frame around the sides, and a less impressive plastic back. All of the buttons are on the right side of the phone, with a lock button below the volume buttons. This took some getting used to, and I'm still not in love with it, but the buttons have a solid click, and I always knew if I was hitting them. The navigation buttons are all on screen, and while I prefer tactile buttons, this didn't interrupt my workflow like not having a fingerprint reader did. It's funny how barbaric a phone without a fingerprint reader feels, when fingerprint readers have only been big for like 3 years. Continuing around the device, we've got a headphone jack up top and micro USB port below. The front camera is 5 megapixels and has a dedicated LED flash, which is nice to see. The rear of the phone contains an 8 megapixel shooter with flash and a solo rear firing speaker. The speaker is a particular low point on the phone, sounding very tinny and getting muffled when the phone is just resting on a table. Prying off the back cover reveals the micro SD card slot as well as 2 micro SIM card slots. No nano SIM here. Getting into the specs, we have a 5-inch 720p display. The screen blew me away. While the resolution is pretty low compared to other modern phones, the color reproduction, brightness, and viewing angles are amazing, and the screen seems to be really close to the glass. There is zero color distortion at angles like you see on AMOLED panels, and at just shy of 300 pixels per inch, it's still a pretty high pixel density. Next to the iPhone 6s Plus, it is noticeably grainier, but still not distracting. One of my biggest fears going into the phone was all the Amazon bloatware, and while it's there front and center of the first home screen, I never once got a notification to use one of their apps over a stock app. Beyond only being able to hide and not uninstall Amazon apps, you're left with a fairly stock Android experience. I installed Google's new Nexus launcher and was quite happy with the setup. Performance on paper is only okay. The R1 HD has 2 gigs of RAM paired with a quad-core MediaTek chip, hitting a Geekbench score around 1600. And while that's just a fraction of what flagships are hitting, real-world use isn't that bad. At all. Just like with the screen, I was pleasantly surprised at how capable the R1 HD is. Heavy games will cause some stutter for sure, but light emulators and most of your casual games will run just fine. Taking a look at the camera, you'll find pretty much what you expect out of an 8 megapixel sensor. At first, I was horribly unimpressed with the images, but then I realized the phone defaults to a 6 megapixel image at a 16:9 aspect ratio. Playing around with the camera settings will go a long way in getting better photos out of the R1. Lastly, the battery held up very well for a budget phone. Standby time is amazing. I initially unboxed and set up the phone on a Tuesday, but wasn't able to fully get my hands on it until Friday. The phone still had 81% charge left and had been connected to Wi-Fi the whole time. At the time of writing this, the battery is at 56% with 2 hours and 21 minutes of screen on time at max brightness most of that time. So this leads back to the question of is it worth it, and why even look at it? If you're buying a phone to keep with you 2+ years, I'd say spend a bit more and get something higher end, like the OnePlus 3. The case for the R1 is a lot stronger when you need it in shorter bursts. If I dropped my iPhone in the pool today, I wouldn't rush out and get another one, with the next model just around the corner. And the $60 I get for a full phone in the R1 is cheaper than any repair I could get done to my iPhone. There's a freedom to having a phone so inexpensive that it's borderline disposable. Using the R1 HD as a dedicated MP3 player, game system, or smart home remote is entirely feasible. This would also make a solid first phone for a kid, as long as you remember to sign them out of your Amazon account. Let me know what you think. Outside of just being a cheap phone, are there any other good uses for an inexpensive phone running modern software? And would you pay the extra $50 for no ads? Let me know in the comments below. Again, this is Jason with Maslin Tech. Like and subscribe if you enjoyed this, and I'll see you in the next one.